Hello everyone, how's it going? Elliot here and welcome to the Retro Future. Today we're going to be taking a look at a DS Lite that is a complete lie. The styluses don't come out, the GBA port is stuck in there, and the screens are made of cardboard. What's going on? So a little while ago on the channel, I took a look at two of these. Now, although this looks like a Game Boy Advance SP, again, this is a complete lie. Inside is a cardboard screen. The buttons do actually press and everything seems to actually move, but obviously it doesn't work. There's also weights inside it to make it actually feel like it's heavier. But interestingly, there was an actual PCB inside to allow for the buttons to press, and the PCB was unpopulated, so it didn't have any chips or anything on there because it didn't need them. Which is what really interests me about this. Is it going to have a PCB in here exactly the same as that, unpopulated with no resistors or any sort of surface mount components besides the buttons? That's what we're going to find out in today's video. Also, how does the cartridge not remove, and will we be able to even take this thing apart because of that? Because on a regular DS Lite, you have to remove everything. So here it is though. It looks absolutely convincing and it feels perfectly normal. On the back, you'll see it actually says non-working Exemplaire factice.
Exemplaire factice.
The serial number is completely blank, but there is actually a sticker there, which is just so bizarre. The trigger buttons are pressing, however, but it does feel very heavy. So I'm wondering what's going to be underneath this battery slot here. But if we flip it open and the hinge feels perfectly normal, the power slider does actually slide up and spring back down. So there must actually be a power switch soldered onto the motherboard for that to have that mechanism. But yeah, as you can see there, with the weird reflections going on, the screen is made out of cardboard. Right, so let's take it apart, because I think we're all very eager to see what's inside it. Now, the Phillips screw here will actually reveal the contents of this battery compartment, so I'm going to assume there's a weight inside it. I'll be very surprised if there's a battery inside there. But anyway, here we go. Oh, it's completely empty. Well, that is very weird, because this is way, way, way too heavy. But you can see there's actually no battery contacts there for the battery. So I'm now going to remove all of the Phillips screws. It's unlikely that this was used so much in a customer usage scenario. I just feel like Nintendo would have just chucked one of their actual units in to whatever scenario that could have been, whether it was a convention or a store or something like that. It's not uncommon for dummies to be sent off to companies to make cases and stuff like that in iPhone scenarios and other different types of phones and whatnot. But again, I really don't think that's what this would have been used for. Okay, we need to remove these little rubber covers here. If anyone worked in a store and they were familiar with seeing these used, please let us know what it was used for, because I would really love to know. Nintendo make kiosks with fully functional consoles in them so that the customers can play it. And they've been doing that for a very long time, so it's just really bizarre that this is even being created. Right, this is the final screw coming out here. And then we can try and lift this thing off. Now, I really don't know what's going to happen, because you should actually remove this in the disassembly of a DS Lite. So I don't know what's going to happen, but here we go. Okay, it is actually coming up. This is it, the moment of truth. Boom. So it is actually the Game Boy cartridge cover, but it's just one half of it, and it looks like it's been glued in there, which is really interesting. Now, the stylus, I can actually see the stylus in there, but the stylus doesn't come out. So the stylus has also been glued in there, which is really funny. I mean, obviously it's to stop people from stealing it or something, but again, just quite bizarre. But the rest of this looks absolutely normal until we get to this motherboard. As you can see, this motherboard is an unpopulated motherboard. So this is what it would have looked like before it goes into the process of having all of the chips and surface mount components put on it. So that would have all been done, that would all be done automated, like on a machine. There's not someone just individually soldering all of these. So it's just obviously come off of the production line before it's gone into that stage and been used in this. So you can see there's all of the lovely exposed gold contacts which have not been used. Now, of course, it has got the things to make it seem normal, like the cartridge slot here. We've also got the little surface mount tactile switches. There's also the headphone, the power slider, the volume slider, the charging port, but that is pretty much your lot. There's absolutely no ribbon cables in here either, because, well, nothing's plugged in, of course. But what is this enormous black thing here? I'm gonna guess it's a big weight, but let's find out, and let's remove this PCB. Now, if your DS Lite does look slightly different to this, there is a good chance that the revision had changed, so I doubt this is a sort of a prototype or anything like that. But yeah, here we go. You can see on the back, oh, there's a big Sharpie mark there, which is funny. Just a quick observation, I had a look at images on Google of more DS Lite motherboards, and there don't seem to be any that have a cross on it like that. It makes me wonder if this may have been a faulty motherboard. I don't know if there's some sort of a test on the production line, but maybe if this one had a fault, that's why this has been set aside for this purpose. But yeah, obviously the rubber membranes are inside there to make the buttons all press and feel absolutely normal. There actually is some buttons on the motherboard to make the start and select press normally. But there we go, a completely unpopulated DS Lite motherboard. What a beautiful sight. No ribbon cable connectors, no resistors, no chips, no capacitors, nothing. No LEDs. It's just empty. Kind of scary. And then this is it, exactly what I expected. It is an enormous weight. Would you look at that? That is absolutely shockingly heavy for the size of it, but that is going to be what makes this whole thing feel normal. And actually, just picking this up, it's definitely, there's another one in the top as well. I'm not going to remove these little screw covers because they're a nightmare to do without damaging it, but there is 100% another one of those in there, and that is what's inside of this dummy, non-working DS Lite. Very cool. It's actually almost quite tempting to put this back on a working DS Lite just to completely confuse the system. But anyway, that is it. That is what this channel is about, showcasing weird, bizarre things. I think this fits the bill. Let me know what you think. It's a non-working DS Lite. Now, I'm sure there's going to be loads of people saying, put the screens back in it, put the motherboard back in it and make it work, or solder all the chips onto here and make it work. That's a ridiculous idea. This is a collector's item, and it's just a shell at the end of the day, so it would obviously work if I put the stuff inside it, and likelihood is, if I had the tools and the knowledge and the skill to populate this would also work, because all of the traces are existent. It's not a dummy motherboard. This is a real motherboard. It's just unpopulated. Anyway, I really hope you've all enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Let me know what you think of this crazy little thing. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Goodbye.